The moon hung low over the Niger River like a bruised eye, weeping silver tears into the black water. Dana knelt on the muddy bank, her wrapper soaked to the knees, fingers clutching a faded lappercloth that still smelled of hymn smoke from the evening fires, the sharp tang of palm wine. The river rushed past, indifferent, its voice a low growl that mocked her whispers. "Chidi," she murmured, her voice cracking like dry harmattan earth, "speak to me." Just once, but the river never spoke back. It swallowed her words, her hopes, and spat out only echoes of the dead. Before we continue, please subscribe to Nigerian Storytelling Time and turn on the notification bell for more unforgettable stories like this one. Adana's story began not by the river, but in the heart of Umuahia, where the hills rolled like the backs of sleeping giants and the air hummed with the chatter of market women. She was born under the sign of the New Yam Festival, her mother's hands sticky with roasted corn as she wailed her first cry. They named her Adana Father's Joy because her eyes, wide and dark as polished obsidian, lit up the thatched hut like harmattan stars. Life in the village was a rhythm as steady as the talking drum. Adana grew tall and graceful, her skin glowing like fresh kola nut under the sun. By 16, she was the one twisting waist beads at the moonlight dances, her laughter drawing boys like moths to a lantern. But it was Chidi who caught her heart. He came from the next compound over, a fisherman with arms like woven raffia ropes and a smile that promised the world. Adana, he'd say, his voice soft as a goosey soup simmering, "The river gives me fish, but you give me life." They married under the Iroko tree, the elders pouring libations of palm wine to the ancestors. The village feasted on pounded yam and goat pepper soup, the air thick with the scent of firewood and joy. Adana's mother, Mama Ngozi, pressed a cowrie necklace into her daughter's palm. "Wear this always, my child. It wards off the water spirits. The river is jealous. It takes what it loves." In those early moons, their home was a paradise of clay pots and woven mats. Chidi would return from the river at dawn, his canoe heavy with tilapia and catfish, scales glinting like silver coins. Dana would meet him at the bank, her wrapper hitched high, splashing into the shallows to help unload. "See what the gods have blessed us with today?" He'd laugh, lifting her into a spin that made the water spray like rain. They'd sit by the fire that night, her head on his shoulder, sharing stories of the old ones' tales of Mamiwata, the river goddess with hair like green seaweed who lured men with her beauty only to drown them in her embrace. But joy, like the Niger's floods, doesn't last forever. It was the dry season when the first whispers came. Chidi's catches grew scarce, the river turned stingy, its waters murky with unspoken grudges. "The spirits are angry," the Dibia muttered in the village square, his beads rattling like bones. Adana dismissed it as village gossip, but Chidi changed. His eyes, once bright as the morning sun, grew shadowed. He'd linger by the river longer, casting nets into the deepening dusk, murmuring prayers to Alakan, the sea god who ruled the depths. One evening, as the sun bled red into the horizon, Adana found him there, staring at the current as if it held secrets. Gentle lap of water against the bank. "Chidi, come home." "The fufu is cooling," she touched his arm, but he flinched, his skin hot as fever bark. "The river calls me, Adana, it sings my name in the waves." His words hung heavy, laced with a fear she didn't recognize. She laughed it off, pulling him back to their hut. But that night, as thunder rumbled like angry ancestors, he tossed in his sleep, whispering of green-haired women and treasures beneath the foam. Adana woke with a start, her heart pounding, distant thunder rolling. Outside, the rain hammered the roof, turning the earth to mud. She slipped from the mat, peering through the window slit. The river, swollen now, roared like a beast unchained. By morning, Chidi was gone. His canoe missing from its mooring, his fishing spear vanished. The village searched, men pulling through the reeds, women wailing along the banks. Days turned to weeks, the Niger giving nothing back but tangled vines and empty echoes. The elders consulted the oracle, though Dibia threw cowries that spelled misfortune. "Mamiwata has claimed him," they said. "She envies his strength, his heart." Adana refused to believe it. Chidi is no fool. he'll return with tales of adventure, but her voice trembled, and, in the quiet nights, doubt crept in like river mist. She began her vigils then, every dusk finding her by the water's edge. At first, the villagers pitied her, bringing raps of gari, murmuring prayers. But as moons waxed and waned, pity soured to suspicion. "She's calling the spirits herself," the market women hissed behind their palms. Children threw stones from afar, chanting, "River wife!" River wife, her brother, Emeka, tried to pull her away. He was a traitor now, hauling yams to Aba Market in his battered lorry. "Sister, this madness will kill you. Chidi is gone." The ancestors have taken him home, but Adana's eyes, once joyful, burned with a fire that scared even him. "The river knows where he is, Emeka, it will tell me, seasons blurred." The harmattan wind stripped the leaves bare, then the rains came, turning the paths to rivers of their own. Adana's hair grayed at the temples, her once full cheeks hollowed by vigil and grief. She spoke less, her days a blur of weaving baskets by the hut, her nights claimed by the bank. The cowrie necklace, her mother's gift, hung heavy around her neck, its shells dulled by the damp. One twilight, as the sky bruised purple, a stranger appeared. He was tall, his skin edged with the scars of far travel's tribal marks from the Delta Creeks. His name was Kelechi, a wandering healer from Port Harcourt, carrying herbs and stories in his satchel. The villagers summoned him for a child with river fever, but his eyes found Adana first, kneeling as always, her lips moving in silent plea. "You wait for the dead," he said, his voice like gravel underfoot, settling beside her. The river gurgled, almost mocking, "He's not dead." Her words were sharp, but tears betrayed her. Kelechi nodded, pulling a gourd of bitterleaf tea from his bag. "I've seen rivers swallow men whole, but sometimes they spit out truths instead." He spoke of his own loss, a wife taken by the Atlantic's rage during a storm. "I raged at the sea for years, cursed the waves, the gods, until one dawn, a shell washed up with her bracelet inside. Not her body, but her spirit saying, 'Let go.'" Adana turned away, the words stinging like salt in a wound. Wine picking up, carrying distant village drums. But Kelechi returned each evening, his presence a quiet anchor. He'd bring plantain chips or tales of city lights in Lagos, where women drove machines and men flew like birds. Slowly, her vigils stretched not just pleas, but questions. "Why him, river? What did I do wrong?" The tension built like floodwaters. Strange signs plagued the village, fish washing up belly up, their eyes milky white. Shadows flickering on the water at midnight, like fingers beckoning. Eerie splashes, unexplained. The elders blamed Adana. Her sorrow angers the water gods. She must stop, or we'll all pay. Emeka, torn between blood and fear, confronted her one moonless night. Footsteps heavy in the dark. "Sister, leave this place. Come to Aba with me. Start anew." His voice broke, lantern light dancing on his worried face. She rose, mud caking her feet, the lapa clutched like a lifeline. "And forget! The river holds my heart. Emeka, if I leave, who will hear it beat?" He left, shaking his head, but the seed of doubt took root. That same night, as Adana knelt once more, a storm brewed. Lightning forked the sky, illuminating the river's rage. Waves crashed higher, clawing at the bank like hungry spirits. She didn't move, whispering Chidi's name into the gale. Then, the twist came not in thunder, but in silence. As the storm broke, the waters calmed unnaturally, the surface glass smooth under the emerging stars. A figure emerged from the reeds, not Chidi, but a boy no more than 12, drenched and shivering, his eyes wide with terror. He collapsed at her feet, clutching a sodden cloth, the very lapis she'd given Chidi on their wedding night. Embroidered with white threads, spelling forever, "Auntie," the boy gasped, his voice a rasp from the depths. I saw him, in the water, not dead. He pushed me up, said to tell you he's coming home. But the river, it lied. Adana's world shattered like a dropped clay pot. The boy was from a distant village, swept away in the floods weeks ago. Chidi hadn't drowned that fateful night. No, the river's call had been a madness, a fever dream from bad juju, poison gin from a rival fisherman's grudge, meant to drive him mad and claim his trade. Chidi had wandered the banks in delirium, falling into the shallows, washing downstream. Villagers from afar had found him, half mad, nursed him back with herbs and prayers. He'd been searching for her ever since, following the Niger's twists, but the currents and his weakened mind led him astray. The Lapa? It had snagged on the boy's raft during his own ordeal. Chidi, spotting it, had traded his strength to free the child, pushing him to safety. Tears streamed down Adana's face, not of loss, but revelation. The river hadn't taken him. It had tested her, mirrored her own unspoken fears of unworthiness, of love slipping like wet fish through fingers. All those years, she'd waited for a ghost of her making, while Chidi lived, broken, but breathing, calling her name in the wilds. Word spread like wildfire. Emek arrived at dawn with his lorry, Kalechi trailing with his satchel. They nursed the boy, sent runners down river. Days later, as the sun crested the hills, a canoe appeared frail, pulled by a gaunt man with Chidi's eyes, hollowed by time, but alive with fire. He stepped onto the bank, legs trembling, and Adana ran to him, their embrace a dam breaking. The village gathered, drums beating triumph. Even the elders poured libations anew, thanking the gods for mercy. But Adana knew the true lesson, whispered not by the river, but by the scars they both bore. In the quiet after, as they sat by the fire, Chidi's hand in hers, the cowrie necklace shared between them, she reflected on the years wasted in vigil. The river had never spoken because it couldn't. It was a mirror reflecting our deepest silences. We wait for answers from the world, but the voices we seek are within. Forgiveness for ourselves, the courage to believe in return. Sometimes, the greatest mystery isn't what we lose, but what we find when we stop chasing shadows and turn toward the light of those who never truly left. And that's how the story ends. If you loved it, please like, comment, and subscribe to Nigerian Storytelling Time. More powerful stories are coming soon.